Before we begin, I just have a quick update on the Wild Class Overview series and my channel as a whole, so please just listen for like a minute. After this week's video, I'll be taking a break from this series, and I am not going to be making a video on Shaman, Warrior, and Paladin for the foreseeable future. This is not because I don't want to, far from it, it is just because I don't have any decks and cards in general for those classes. You have probably noticed by now that my background footage isn't really the best. I try to make it as relevant and interesting as I can, but for some classes I just don't have enough dust to make proper decks, and the games I show are good examples of it. I fully stand by everything I say in these videos, as I know what I'm talking about. I just feel that I can't make the videos as good as I want them to be at the moment. Trust me, they'll come out in the future when I feel they're ready and at good quality. You might have also noticed that I have privated a lot of my older videos recently. This is just because they don't fit the direction I want to be taking the channel in the future. I want to make more videos like the first 5 things you should do as a new Hearthstone player, and less videos that are just worse versions of what the popular creators make. I just want to make unique content I can be proud of in the future that hopefully does well, and I feel that these older videos don't really fit that image. Okay, enough of my rambling. Let's just start the video you wanted to see from the beginning. Do you want to know more about a class? If yes, then you clicked on the right video. This is Class Overviews, a series where I go over one of the 10 Hearthstone classes, their playstyle, hero power, decks, staple legendaries, and if they are an overall good class to craft cards for in relation to the wild format specifically. I hope you can all get something out of this video, whether you are a new or returning player. Let's begin with the biggest mistake in Hearthstone. The unfun, unfair, universally hated class. Priest. Where do I even begin with Priest? Anduin is absolutely iconic for all the wrong reasons. During the early days of Hearthstone's life, the class was unplayable, a complete laughingstock. And now, everyone hates him. If you like Priest, your opinion is wrong, and when he gets good new cards, Blizzard is wrong. Well, at least this hatred doesn't really spawn from his base hero power. Lesser Heal. 2 mana, restore 2 health. Honestly, this hero power is alright in the grand scheme of things. It helps a lot to be able to have a targeted heal, whether it is to survive in the early game or synergize with your minions. A lot of Priest's identity does, or at least used to revolve around healing, and their hero power did play a large part in that. Now in 2021 though, not really. You'll rarely be healing your minions. The heal now is basically just a tank up for Warrior, but you can't get past 30 health. This isn't really negative, but more something to take note of, like a mini class evolution. Priest's playstyle has also changed. Whereas it used to be a lot of combo and control decks, in the current state of Hearthstone, you'll be playing control still, but a little bit of aggro as well, interestingly. Let's just see how this translates over to the viable decks the class has access to at the moment. Reno Priest, otherwise known as Raza Priest. This is the best Priest deck at the moment and has been ever since Raza got unnerfed and their hero power costs 0 mana again. The game plan for this deck is just to stall the first few turns and outlive aggro until you can play both your Raza the Chained and Shadow Reaper Anduin. From there, it's just minigun time with your 0 mana, deal 2 damage hero power. You spam cards to slowly whittle your opponent down, and if you ever get Spawn of Shadows as well, it's most likely just GG for the enemy. Just a strong deck for now and the foreseeable future. Big Priest. Want to be hated by everyone? Yes? Play Big Priest. This deck is super obnoxious and I love it. You just get one of your big boys to die as early in the game as possible, and then from there, just keep resurrecting them and doubling your mass resurrections with Vargoth. This deck is super easy to play and it's really fun just destroying people with a 30 attack board on like turn 7. Lastly, Aggro Deathrattle Priest. This is a really experimental deck that pushes the term viable, but I have seen lists go to Legend, and this deck can actually be so unexpected that most people misplay against it. The strategy is to just go face. You have guaranteed death rattles on all your minions that always allow you to keep up pressure on your opponents, and you can really have an explosive start with this deck. The only problem is its lack of draw, and you do find yourself just running out of steam on turns 5 and 6, but I would definitely keep your eye on this deck. It has a strong future. Now, let's go over some staple class legendaries. These are cards that are either extremely strong or extremely versatile. As usual, if they only see play in one deck, I'll mention it when I go over them. Let's start with Raza and Anduin. As I mentioned when I talked about Reno Priest, these two make the deck work. They only go in decks together, and when in one, can carry as long as it has plenty of cheap cards, just so you can keep refreshing the 0 mana hero power. Zrella. She is new, but really strong. While the only deck she somewhat fits in right now is Reno Priest, she just has such a strong effect I can never see her being bad in the future. Yeah, those are actually the only two cards I would really say are class staples. I guess maybe Mindrender Lucia is alright, but Dirty Rat is just better, especially in Wild. As a whole, Priest is a good class to craft cards for if you like more niche deck. Things like Big and Aggro Priest aren't everyone's cup of tea, and while Reno Priest is the best deck at the moment, it isn't the easiest thing to pilot. If you want to play Priest right now, just make sure you do your research. I would recommend going for Big Priest as it's cheap, fun, and alright on ladder. You can definitely push ranks with it and get to Legend. Overall, if you want to really spice up your games and play a more hated and weird class, I would recommend playing Priest. And with that, Zedud out.